Yeah. What else? Yeah, so I think we'll move on to um favorite book.
Oh, okay.
Um uh, and I know, have you read any of the books, or
I
and
have
if
only
if
read
not, like, is there any?
little bits and pieces here and there, and I think of the only one I've read much of was Casino Royale, but I haven't actually finished
Okay.
any of them. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, that one, I'll tell you what my favorite is, and I'll give you some suggestions.
Okay.
I would say maybe do an audio book. We were talking about it. Maybe try to get through Casino Royale, because the first half is a slow grind. Like, it's really good stuff, but it's a really slow grind. The second half of that book flies by, Casino Royale.
Okay. Excellent.
Um, and, and then but I'm going to tell you what my favorite one is, and it's hard because there's a lot of good ones. And I put off reading them. I'd only read Goldfinger ever when I was a kid, and Live and Let Die, and those are the only two I ever read. And I like both of them, but I was kind of like hesitant to read them because I thought I might think less of the movies. Like, you always
Sure.
read the book and you're like, oh man, this book is so much better. Don't
Right.
worry about that. Like, you'll still love the movies, but you'll love the books. They're a lot different. There's a lot the same, so you'll geek out at a lot of moments that are from the movies.
Cool.
Some of the books are very close. If you like Majesties, the movie, read Majesties is the closest thing to the movie,
Okay.
the book. So you would love that one.
Yeah.
And all the books are connected to each other, unlike the movies. So at least more than the movies are. So I would say just read them, if you want to, read them in order,
Okay. No, I'll definitely
because
do that then because I'd love the idea of it actually being a
yeah, yeah,
progressive story with recurring
yeah, yeah.
characters.
And you really get into Bond's head. And the Bond I see in the book is not Sean Connery, and it's not Roger Moore, and it's not Lazenby or Timmy
Mm.
or Pierce or even Daniel. Like, I don't think I mean, each one of them brings something that's similar. Probably Timmy does it the best, but
Hmm.
but uh but I don't see any of them. I see like a different guy that's not any of those guys when I read the book. I don't know if that's just me, but I see like someone totally different.
Cool. No, I
Unless,
think
like,
that's
when
better, probably, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. And you get inside of his head a lot. Like, you don't really get inside of Bond's head in the movie, like what he thinks or what his political views are or whatever in the
Sure.
movies, or what he thinks about. Like he's kind of bigoted in the book, but it doesn't make me like him any less. But like, there's certain people he does not like. I guess it's from the time, like the era, like he does not like Russians at all. You can tell. Maybe it's just
Right.
Fleming,
Sure.
and but like, because of course, because the Russians are a big threat at the time, and he does not keen about the Chinese or Germans.
Well, you can understand that too because,
Like,
the
yeah, yeah,
character
no, that
was
makes sense.
was
Yeah,
in World War
yeah,
II, right? I mean,
yeah,
he
yeah,
was in the
yeah,
Navy
yeah, right,
during
yes,
World War
yes,
II, so
yes,
it makes perfect
yeah.
sense, right?
So yeah, yeah. So of course it makes sense at the time, but I mean, like, man, this guy really doesn't like Germans. It kind of made me like happy, I felt warmness in my heart that he had a skiing instructor in the book, uh, that was German, and he was friends with him. It's like, oh, maybe he doesn't hate all Germans because he had a friend. That's later there's a wonderful bunch of short story collections too, all with Bond. They're all I would say I would recommend all of them. Some of the short stories I think are even better than the novels, but I'll get to what my favorite novel is. So the first one's Casino Royale. The second one's Live and Let Die, which is fantastic. It kind of strays from the movie, but similar plot. And then the third one is probably the best. It's Moonraker, and it's nothing like the movie. It's its own unique story. I wish they would adapt this story into a movie. It's that freaking good. I
Wow.
don't want to give anything away, but it's like a megalomaniac. Hugo Drax is the villain, but and he has there's a plan that's like a world threatening plan. It's not like sort of Casino and Live and Let Die, where it was kind of a smaller operation like Drug Holdman, but the movie was fantastic.
Right.
But anyway, but Moonraker is like global threat. Like, it's a it's a really good book, kind of slow paced, but it's really good. And then the one after that, Diamonds Are Forever, which is a little different than the movie, and I really enjoyed that one too.
Uh,
The
r-
next one,
Question about that. The Diamonds Are
yeah,
Forever.
yeah,
You said
yeah.
because these go together. So in the books, does On Her Majesty's Secret Service come before Diamonds, or did they just
No,
totally
no, no,
sort of
no.
co-opt?
It's nothing. It's nothing like that.
Okay.
Yeah, they're not in order of the movie. So there's no revenge. Blofeld doesn't even come around until Thunderball. There's like
Okay.
a Blofeld trilogy. I would maybe just read those if Thunderball, um, On Her Majesty's Secret Service, and You Only Live Twice. That's the Blofeld trilogy.
Okay.
Okay, but I would read all the stuff because the one I'm gonna get up to that's my favorite after Moonraker or after Diamonds Are Forever is From Russia with Love is my favorite novel,
Okay.
and it makes me geek out so much because the Russians after they know this guy Bond and they know his exploits, they know he's thwarted the Smersh agents in the first four novels, and they're gonna get back at him so it brings up like moments from those other books, and I was like really geeking out about that.
That's
But
awesome.
and it's very close to the movie too. But the first half of the book is nothing to do with Bond. It's the story of Red Grant's life, and it's freaking terrifying. It's like a
Wow.
horror story. Like you have to you have to get through those books to get to From Russia with Love. So then when Bond and Grant meet up at the end, like there's a lot of tension. Like the reader knows who this guy is, but Bond doesn't know who it is when he is using the Nash identity at the
Sure.
and the crazy thing in the book, Tatiana is suspicious of him. Like his name is Nash in Russian. That means like a two face or you don't trust people like that. And he's oh, you're just a silly girl. This guy's just kind of a psychopath. I'll have. I'll have the minute MI6 talk to this guy. I can tell he's a psychopath, but he's no Russian. but, but, but his character in that story, he's so freaking. He started off as a gypsy kid that his parents had ties with like this intelligence, and he ended up getting his position at Station T.
Wow.
But man, that book, it's so good. From Russia with Love.
I'll
So I
definitely
would
check it
recommend that one,
out.
and that's my favorite. I don't know by far because I really love Moonraker and if you want something that's almost like a Japanese like warrior fantasy fairy tale and really good.
I would definitely
Hey,
enjoy that.
and don't listen to all this stuff about how the books are more grounded in reality. Like the books get freaking bonkers. Like I know the movies people. These movies are so corny. Like wait till you see some of the stuff in these books.
Well, I like that. That's part of why I like the Bond films
Yeah,
because they are so
yeah, yeah,
different from
yeah,
your typical
yeah,
action or
yeah, yeah, yeah,
espionage film, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yes,
The more
absolutely.
fantastical
Yeah,
elements are what make it so
yes,
entertaining.
yeah,
Well, that's very cool.
yes,
Thank you for
yeah.
the
So I
recommendations. I'll definitely check those
okay,
out
okay,
because it
okay.
sounds like they're really good.
So getting out of the book, so I know we're going into another subject that we're both really passionate about, the video games. And the James Bond radio didn't have this question. I just added it to our little show, our favorite James Bond video game. And I know there's a lot of good ones.
Hmm.
My favorite is I'm just gonna go back to back from Russia with Love. From Russia with Love is my favorite novel, and my favorite video game is From Russia with Love, which is an adaptation of the movie. It takes a lot of liberties, strays from the movie, as all video game adaptations do. But I just love just the idea that someone thought it was a good idea to make a James Bond game based on a movie from the '60s. Like I don't know if there was a market for that, but it really it's near and dear to me. So I'm so appreciative that they made this. They made a game based on a Sean Connery movie. It's based on a lot of Sean Connery movies, but mostly it follows the story of From Russia with Love. But you see elements from other movies like the Aston Martins in it and the jetpack from Thunderball.
Oh, nice.
Um, it has the Q scene, like you get to go through MI6 and go to Q Lab, like from Goldfinger. Um, uh, what else? It has there's like a volcano layer at the end. For some reason, you find Grants in a volcano layer at the end. but
Wow.
they but I mean, they have the likeness of a lot of the characters, and Sean Connery actually does the voice of Bond. It's old
Oh.
Sean Connery, so he says, um, "No, your mouth is the right size for me. That is." It's weird. It's weird hearing old Sean Connery's voice come from young Sean Connery, but still, just the fact they got Sean Connery, I'm pleased with it. And the gameplay is like just like Everything or Nothing, which I love that gameplay style, but they kind of refined it a bit. And this is post Resident Evil 4, so there's a lot of Resident Evil 4 elements in the game, which I love.
Very cool.
Like gameplay types, kind of level by level mission structure. It goes through the movie. Of course, there's like bonus stages. Like I just love From Russia with Love, and the fact that they would make a game based on From Russia with Love in 2004 or whatever it was, like just like
Right.
warms my heart. So from From Russia with Love, my other runners up, like all of them are good. Like I don't think there's one I don't like, but I think maybe The World Is Not Enough on N64 and Everything or Nothing or would be a close second or third.
That is
How about you, Wubs?
wow.
Yeah.
What a pick. I think that's so cool because
Yeah.
I heard about the
Yeah.
game. It's one of those I never got around to, unfortunately. I was in school at the
Hmm.
time and, just didn't have the
Yeah.
time to play. I didn't even have a
Hmm.
PlayStation 2. I kind of missed that generation.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And but hearing you talk about it, it's like I want to play it even more now. It's one I've always wanted to go back to for that
Yeah.
same reason of
Okay.
how amazing is it that they
Yeah.
made a video game based around one of the
Yeah.
films from the 60s, in
Yeah. And you have
2004.
a yeah, excellent. Yeah. Yeah. And you have a PlayStation 2 still, right?
I don't. I don't at the moment,
Or
but
so,
I have a
uh,
friend who's going to give me an old PS3, and hopefully that'll be one of the
okay.
backwards compatible ones.
Okay.
And if not, I'm going to have to just get a PS2 so I can play it because I just want to play
Okay.
that game. I want
Because
to, yeah.
there's okay. It's a really cheap game too. Like it's $8 at my retro shop. I'll pick it up
Oh,
for you
nice.
if there's something you have to play it on.
Yeah, that's the thank
Um,
you. That would be
yeah,
fantastic. I will definitely do that. Yeah.
yeah.
But as far as my favorite video game goes, it's going to be really boring compared to your pick. It's the same as most people's, which is GoldenEye
Oh
64.
yeah, no. Oh, I don't blame you.
Yeah, I did so many hours. I can't even begin to tell you playing multiplayer GoldenEye with my friends. Going through the campaign many times.
Hmm.
My friends were always better at it than I was, so that they'd borrow it, unlock everything for me, and I'd get to use all the
Yeah,
the unlocks, the paintball mode, the big head
yeah,
mode, golden
yeah,
guns, stuff like that,
yeah,
and it was just so fun, like endless amounts of fun. I feel like that game
yeah.
was, and
It's something special for sure. Like there was nothing like that at the time.
no, it was amazing at the time. And
Hmm.
even recently, I went back and I played it because they just did the re-release. I think it was last year or the year before. Updated the
Yeah,
FPS, updated, they sharpened up the graphics a little bit, I think,
yeah.
and it just played so well on my Xbox. I played through the whole game
Oh yes,
again,
yes.
beat it on Agent, beat it
Yeah.
on Secret Agent. I beat. There's just a few
Wow.
levels I got left to do on Double O and Secret Agent at some point, but I
Yeah.
beat most of it.
Okay.
And of course, when you beat it on Secret Agent, I think you unlock the Aztec Temple from Moonraker,
Yeah.
and then
From Moonray. Oh, I love it.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. I figured
Yeah.
you'd probably like that one, and then you get the Egyptian temple
Yeah. Yeah.
from. I guess that's
Yeah.
supposed to be Spy Who Loved Me, probably, right?
Yeah. But you fight, but Baron Samedi is in there.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So, I want to
Yeah.
play that though because I've never gotten to play the Egyptian level before. I was never good enough when I was a kid,
Yeah.
so that's a
Oh,
goal of
I
mine.
can't get to that.
Yeah,
Yeah, me too. I still can't get to it.
that is a struggle, man. Playing Control is the one that gets me. Like it's really hard to beat on Secret Agent. It's way harder on Double
Yeah.
O, and I haven't
Yeah.
accomplished that yet. But hopefully, it's on the bucket list.
Yeah, I can't deal with all those turrets. Like they put way more to those turrets, so you have to like place yourself in a certain spot to take out those
Yep.
guns and turrets.
Right.
They place them all over. It's so. I
Eh,
love that game. I played it a lot as a yeah, just like you said, I played it a lot as a kid, but I never beat it until this year. I'm and it's good.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
so good. That's another one where the
Hmm.
music was
Yeah.
such a good job from transitioning it from a
Yeah.
film to a video game. I would
Yeah.
actually argue of any movie that's become a video game, that might be like the best like soundtrack transition that has ever been made. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's my
Can you
favorite.
repeat that? You were kind of breaking up. Can you repeat
Oh
that?
yeah,
Like,
the
oh heck yeah.
of any
Can
film that
you,
became a video game later or had an adaptation, I would argue that GoldenEye had like maybe the best soundtrack of any film to video
oh yeah.
game transition.
Oh man, can you imagine that freaking pause music?
Yeah.
I could just sit there with that game on pause.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah.
It's so Cold War
Yeah.
reminiscent, right?
Yeah.
Like for the
Yeah.
story.
Yeah. Yeah, I know a couple of those stages. I really like the beat to the music in a few of those stages. I can't pinpoint what they are right now. Some of those, yeah, yeah, some of those levels are super fun. Like despite how hard it is, that control room where you say you have to defend what's her name?
Natalia.
Yeah, Natalia. Yeah, I don't know how I forgot her name. We have to defend her when she's on the computer and all the guys are running in.
It's the hardest
It's
part of the
such a
whole
cool
game.
stage. Like yeah, and like a lot every game like it seems like every game copies that ever since that scenario. Like I was just playing Resident Evil 3 and you're in the lobby of a hospital and all these monsters and zombies are coming in and they're trying to get to Jill
Oh,
who's
okay.
laid up and you're having to defend them off like man this is like GoldenEye's like started this.
Right?
Oh, yeah, and then at the end of Resident Evil, like the bad guy's holding Carlos, and you have to, and he's holding him hostage, and you have to shoot him and miss Carlos. Like, man, that's out of GoldenEye too. Like when Oromov has Natalia.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, on the
yeah,
train. Yep.
yeah, yeah,
Such a good sequence.
yeah, yeah.
Wow.
So, any other memories about GoldenEye you want to discuss, or you want me to move on?
Well, I just wanted to do a quick shout out to some honorable mentions. I played
Okay, yes,
Nightfire
yes, yeah,
for PS2 years
yeah,
ago, and I thought it was so
yeah,
good. It's very long after it came
yes,
out. You know, I didn't play it for years. I think I
yeah.
played it on PS3 actually, and
Hmm.
it was super fun. I loved the theme song for it by Estero,
Yeah,
the Nightfire
yeah.
theme. I think it's so good. It could have been a film theme. You know.
Yeah, it could. That whole game is a wonderful package. Like it has a theme song, it's its own original story. Like so it doesn't have to it's not kind of hindered like some of these other games where they have to make up bullshit around the story to add levels. Like that thing, it was just its own unique story that was a video game and it had it.
Right.
So I guess we're past the games and the movies and the books, so we'll get down into the meat of it. Um, So out of all the Bond actors, let me see. There've been one, two, three, four. Have there been six of them?
Well, there've been even more if you count David
Oh,
Niven in
if you
Casino
count
Royale,
David Niven,
right?
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah, and then the guy, the American bloke from the Casino Royale.
in 57, right? Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
I forget his
I can't
name.
remember his name. Yeah, I would know it if I saw it. He used to be in like a bunch like all these like Charlie Chan movies. My wife likes to watch. I see that guy pop up in those.
Well,
Um,
and technically, would we count Mike Myers?
yeah, Mike Myers. And then I guess a lot of guys have voiced him in different things. But we're just going to talk about like the Eon Productions, the main six. It's six, right?
Right, I
We
think
already
so.
had six of them. Yeah.
Yep. So
So favorite Bond, a favorite Bond. like actor, like who is it? Mine. That's a really tough choice because two of them are up there at the top. I might have a different answer a different day, but usually it always comes back to this guy. I don't know if he's the best. Okay, Sean Connery is the best, but my favorite personally is Roger Moore.
All
I think you
right.
probably saw that coming.
I did, yeah, I
Just
thought that might be the case.
yeah, yeah. Because just he's probably the first one I saw, and I probably watched more of his movies. And I think probably every one of his movies I might consider my favorite. Like I like his movies so much. And I love that John Glenn era, the 80s. The John Glenn directed like three of his movies and two of Timmy's.
Sure.
Um, but man, I just love um his humor and his style and his swag. I know probably Pierce kind of like combined him and Sean Connery together.
Right. I would
But
say that.
but Roger, just something about Roger, and I don't think he gets the credit. Like everyone thinks he's the goofy, silly, funny guy Bond. And he's the clown, the guy that dressed up as a clown. But I think a lot of people don't like appreciate like how serious he can be. Like I think he can be as serious just as well or better than any of the other ones. It just doesn't happen that often. But when it happens, like it hits hard. Like when he's serious. I think he does it as good as any of the other ones. Even in that clown scene on Octopussy when he's
Right.
dressed up like a clown, like that movie has a lot of silly moments. I love it, but I don't think the clown part was one of the silly moments. It was like a really intense like race against time moment where he's trying to save thousands of lives, and he's hella serious in that moment. If you see, like I've never seen Roger Moore with that much intensity and seriousness when he's trying to convince everyone there's a bomb inside the cannon.
Right. Yep. And then everybody thinks he's a clown, just
Yeah,
making
yeah,
it up for laughs. Yeah,
yeah,
but you can definitely tell how
yeah,
serious he is there and intense. And
yeah.
also, I would
And then
say the
yeah,
same in Live and Let Die. Right. Like he's really intense in a lot of Live and Let Die.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember that was one of the nail biter moments, like at the end when he's waiting for the poppies to blow up, and he has this big like freaking magnum, and he's about
Right.
to blow away that guy. Yeah, that guy with a snake. I
And
forget the character's name with a snake. Yeah,
his train fight at the end was also really intense with
yeah, yeah. It
what's his
was
name, the
with
guy with the
Teehee.
arm, yeah,
Yeah,
Teehee with
Teehee.
the arm.
Yeah,
Yeah, and also the boat scene. I mean, he is brutal in that, right? Where he gets the
yeah,
gasoline
yeah, yeah,
and throws it
yeah,
on the other dude, lights him on fire.
yeah,
It's crazy,
yeah.
like, That's
Uh,
like the most badass Roger Moore I think
yeah,
seen
no shit.
in
Yeah,
all of his films probably.
yeah,
Is the boat
yeah. And
scene.
I know, yes, and I know the scene. Everyone points that one out too. In you only or for your eyes only, where the guy that killed his buddy Luigi is in the car hanging off the edge of the cliff, and then he goes, "Oh, you left this with Ferrari," and he throws him the pin, and then he kicks off the
Right?
car.
Yep.
I know that. Yeah, that's like one of the scenes like where he's really cold blooded. Like you wouldn't expect that from Roger Moore.
Yeah,
But
so
anyway, yeah,
he has
Roger
his
Moore. But I
moments.
mean, I love all of them. Yeah. Okay. Oh, sorry about that. Sorry to cut
No,
you
no, no.
off.
I was just gonna say he has his moments just like Connery, right?
Yeah.
Where they're more
Yeah.
intense.
Yeah. But the funny puns and one-liners, I love all that from Roger Moore. And I guess in real life, like he's really witty and funny behind the scenes in the camera. So that's probably why he's kind of the reason why he was written like that.
Right?
Because all you hear from like the crew and the cast, they always talk about how funny that guy is and how witty, and he comes up with something on the fly. But I mean, as far like I don't have a Bond I don't like. I like all of them. Like and I think whoever does the casting for these, or I'm sure it's been many people over the years, but they always seem like they pick the right guy for the time. And I kind of like how all of them they're very manly and rugged and handsome at the same time. Like a lot of actors probably could be Bond, but the guys they have picked, they've all been a super manly and a little bit rugged at the same time. But it's hard for me to put my finger on it. But I think like the guys they've picked They've been like all perfect for the time.
I agree. I think that, and there's been a nice variety too. So,
Yeah,
and really, that's the great thing about Roger Moore because he did have quite a range. Probably had more of a range in
yeah,
the character than any of the others. The others were way more
yeah,
defined in what they did, and so
yeah,
also Roger Moore was the most prolific. He had the most films,
yeah.
so
Yes, yes, that's another thing.
yeah. So I can see why he's a good pick
Yeah.
for sure.
Oh,
You
good.
probably already
I'm
know
ready
what
for
I'm
that. Like,
going to say.
okay, if we're going, yeah, yeah, I think I have an idea.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick Lazenby.
Okay, okay, cool, cool.
Yep, from Honor Majesty's Secret Service again. And part of that
Yeah.
is I love the others. Like you said, I think that they all bring something to the character, something different
Hmm.
and unique and special. But I like Lazenby so much because maybe this is an unfair advantage that he only did have the one film. So, and
Yeah.
it happens to be my favorite of the films, so
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm naturally going to be a little biased on that. But I also I like how he did the character for what it was, and he could
Mm,
be everything from the curious academic type that he was pretending to be
yeah.
to infiltrate Blofeld's scheme to the very, intense assassin and
Yeah.
you know the whole range of that, all while falling in love with the love of his life,
Yes.
and losing her,
Yeah.
and he did that whole
I don't
range.
really. Yeah. Yes. I know Connery probably could have done it. I just can't picture him doing some of those scenes. What
I can't,
about you?
yeah, I can't picture Connery doing it at all because it was so much more emotional
Yeah.
than the Connery
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
films, right? That
Yeah.
was required. And I know people said they hated
Yeah.
working with him. He was difficult and all that stuff, but
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
that's sort of the problem of the production crew, right? It's that what
Yeah.
came
Yeah.
out on the screen is like this is
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
very
Yeah. It came
raw
out good. Like, yeah.
experience, you know.
Yeah.
Uh,
And then another. Yeah. And I
well,
guess the word out is. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, buddy.
sorry, yeah. I was just gonna say
Yeah.
if you're gonna watch one Bond movie, like that's one that gives you all of those experiences, right? It's got
Yeah.
drama,
Yeah.
comedy, tons of action, and romance,
Yeah.
and like that movie just has everything.
Yes. No, I agree. Yeah, that would probably be the one like if you could just show someone who's not a Bond fan, if you could pick three movies to show them to like sort of encompass everything that is Bond, like that would be in there for sure.
Right. That would definitely be one I would pick because
Yeah,
it's kind of the perfect introduction to the character in a way.
yeah.
And I do think of
And
it that
also
way because it's so defining for, like I said, after he loses Tracy at the end of it, he just goes nuts and on kind of
yeah,
a bit of a crazed, murder spree for revenge and diamonds.
yeah. And it would have been so cool to have Tully Savalas back as Blofeld. As much as I like Charles Gray and his silly fushiness and
Right?
but it would have been cool to have George and Tully back in that movie.
Yeah, it
And
would have
like
been awesome.
I love the freaking comedy. It's like the most light-hearted Bond movie of all, Diamonds Are Forever. But like, if it would have been a little bit darker with those two actors and kind of continued off, like it would have been something totally different and awesome as well. But
Yes,
I was gonna ask you about his acting skill. I don't know if they say like George says he just conned his way into that role and he just made up stuff and he was never an actor
he
and he
did.
conned his way into getting that part. I don't know. I don't buy it because he's a freaking good actor. I'm sure he had to have done something before
Well,
that. Or do you think he's just that good?
no, funny story about that.
Yeah,
I believe he had done some
yeah,
commercials before that, and
yeah,
he
yeah,
had some modeling gigs, I think, possibly before that.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
I actually watched a documentary about it where he talked about it. I think
Okay,
it was meeting Cubby Broccoli the first time, right? He got one of Sean Connery's
yeah,
old suits from one of the films, from
yeah,
like the place on Seville Row, wherever they did the
yeah, yeah,
suits, and
yeah,
it was just one that Sean didn't end up using or picking up or whatever. He got the suit and he took it to Cubby Broccoli's office and just showed up one day and said, "I hear you're looking for James Bond. Well, here I am." You know, like it just
yeah,
in the door of his
yeah,
office or whatever. And so they got to talking and
yeah,
everything. And by the time they were filming on Her Majesty's Secret Service and he had gotten the role, he was talking to the director, and the director said, or he said to he had this like sort of meltdown, and
yeah,
he freaked out, and he was like, took the
yeah,
director to the side, and he was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not an actor. I've never actually acted in anything. All right, like everything I said was a lie.
yeah,
So he's like freaking out, and the
yeah.
director says, "But you've successfully fooled one of
You've
the
put,
most ruthless men
yeah,
I've
you
ever
put,
known.
yeah, yeah.
So you are an actor." Like, it's so great.
Yeah, yeah,
Being
yeah,
Cubby Broccoli, right? So,
yeah.
um,
Man,
I,
because like he has such a good screen presence, you would think he would at least had done like high school drama or something.
right? He's so
Yeah,
intense. And
yeah,
I do think that physically too, his action sequences just
yeah,
brought something to
yeah.
the table that Connery just never
I, I
had.
was I was gonna say that his action scene, he's super physical. His action, like man, this kind of like almost on the level of like Daniel. Like this guy's like tossing people around and body slamming people and
Right? Just the opening
yeah,
sequence on the beach
yeah,
where
yeah,
he's got
yeah,
to fight the
yeah,
goons, right? And
yeah, yeah,
like that is such a brutal fight scene right from the
yeah,
beginning. And you haven't even seen his face yet. And I think that's part of what
yeah,
adds to that intensity of, oh my god, this guy's a badass, right? Like
yeah, yeah,
he's this faceless sort of action hero right at
yeah,
the
yeah,
beginning.
yeah. Good, yeah, good point. We have our favorite Bond actor. What about your favorite Bond girl? And
This
in James
one,
Bond radio, they would pick. Yeah,
oh, what about radio?
this one you can pick two. They would let guests pick two, like one that does it for you visually, that gets you stimulated, and one that's like your favorite character. So go ahead and pick two if you'd like. If it's all one gal, that's fine. But who's your favorite Bond girl?
This is obviously like one of the hardest categories, right? Like aside from the car.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
This is really tough, and as you said, so many things change all the time. Let me just say
Hmm.
before I respond, there has never been a bad Bond girl. All right, like
Oh, I agree.
every
Yeah,
woman who has been a Bond girl has been fantastic. I would say, uh,
yeah, yeah.
and
Just
brought something
yeah,
different to the table, right?
yeah. Just like they always pick the best man to play Bond, like they have something in them to where they find the most beautiful women in you could find to put in movies.
Yep, and they're all, and it's
Yeah,
always, a new. It just always somehow the same, similar formula just always seems fresh, right? With the new actors and actresses that they
yeah,
find and the
yeah,
stories that they tell.
yeah.
And with that being said, I will say this was very hard for me to put like my finger on for just even
Hmm.
two actresses, and I would say
Hmm.
it's very hard and it does change a lot. But Jinx Halle Berry in Die Another Day
Oh yes,
is probably what I would say the most attractive Bond girl for me personally, because I
yeah.
mean
Oh yeah,
it's really hard to just Halle Berry is such a beautiful woman. She's been beautiful forever.
yeah,
She will always be beautiful,
yeah.
right?
I think she gets
And
even more beautiful as the years go by.
yeah, she's just one
Yeah,
of those sort of timeless. women, right? And
Yes.
yeah, so that's my pick for most attractive Bond girl.
Yeah.
And uh, and just to add to that, character too, right? Like her character was great in Die Another
Yeah.
Day as
Yeah.
the CIA agent, right?
Yes.
One of his better accomplices, I would say, in the series. And she did a
Yeah.
lot. She had very little screen time overall, but
Yeah.
every scene she was in was really memorable.
Yeah.
And
I'm glad to hear you giving a. I'm glad. Oh, sorry to
no,
break
go
to
ahead.
cut in here, but I'm
Sure.
glad to hear. I'm glad to hear a little bit of praise for Die Another Day. Like that one's like always gets so much hate.
It
That
does.
movie, and I don't think it's my favorite, but man, I really appreciate it a lot, and I'm glad to hear a little bit of praise coming from you.
Well, and Die Another Day is
Yeah.
a film
Yeah.
that I think was. Uh, I think it sort of gets that hate because of the time in which it was done, right? It was the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Everything was getting super dark when it came to action
Yeah.
movies and stuff, and it
Hmm.
was they decided to do something totally different, right? Let's do a throwback
Hmm.
to the more fantastical plots of the 60s and 70s,
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
technology that we'll throw in all this crazy technology, crazy plot
Yeah.
with global politics, but an old story, right? Being Korea and North
Yeah.
Korea, and that's where the villain comes from and all of that, and the
Yeah.
history there. And it was just such a you have to be a Bond fan, I feel like, to really appreciate that film and what they
Yeah.
did
Yeah.
with that. The average person watched that and they just thought it was kind of a campy action movie. But I mean,
Yeah.
the gadgets in it were insane. The car
Yes.
was
Yes.
insane, right?
Yeah.
Like what it could do,
Yeah.
and the women were larger than. I mean, Halle Berry, right?
Yeah. Oh my God.
Like
Yeah.
the most larger than life actress in the world at the time,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
so it was just it was like Bond fantasy on steroids, right?
Yes. Yes.
Madonna doing the theme song, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it was the
Uh,
no holds bar. Like in many ways,
mhm.
it's the most Bond movie of any Bond movie. I mean, everything is just
Yeah.
turned up, to like exponentially on that
Yeah.
movie, over the top.
Yeah. It's yeah, that's like one of the peak, like over the top movies. Like sometimes you notice they start climbing up as the series progresses to, like I would say, like Moonraker hits like that really fantastical moment, and then it's kind of drops down after that. It goes to For Your Eyes Only. It kind of starts getting more grounded, and then it starts building back up again. And here comes Die Another Day.
It just
Yeah,
bulldozes through all of that and just
yeah,
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 just cranked up to 20 the whole time, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
so
yeah. So Hallie, oh, I can't argue with that.
right,
She was definitely. It's so hard. Like she's definitely the hottest, but there's so many of them.
right.
It's hard to pick.
It's so hard to pick. I mean,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I had to also say, well, for my favorite character, right?
Yeah.
That would be Pam Bouvier, played by Carrie Lowell
Oh,
in License to Kill.
oh, thank God you said it.
I just think
I loved
she,
her.
yeah.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah, you go ahead. No, I loved her ever since I saw that movie. Not like she's a looker too. Like she could be up there too. I got a huge crush on her
Right.
as well. But man, like I just loved like her. She was kind of like a spunky like CIA, or no, she um was she CIA
Yeah, she was CIA. I'm
or
pretty
drug
sure. Yeah,
enforcement?
she
Yeah,
Leiter was
or was
working
she?
with the
She
DEA, but she was CIA. I'm pretty
yeah,
sure.
yeah. Okay, yes, yes, yes.
Um, but yeah,
Yeah, okay. So go on about Pam.
but yeah, I mean, just such a cool character, right? Like she was a
Yeah,
total badass right from the beginning, right? Really
yeah,
intense in
yeah,
her role,
yeah,
and also
yeah,
mysterious. He didn't know who she was. She
yeah,
had some connection with
yeah.
Leiter, and then found out she was his contact, and
Hmm.
working undercover and everything. And so it was this whole thing of this is after Miami Vice too, right? So it's like the Miami Vice sort of
Hmm.
vibe of anti-drug,
Yeah,
activity, DEA stuff in
yeah,
the 80s is thrown
yeah,
into
yeah,
to that,
yeah, yeah,
and so when I see Pam Bouvier, I kind of see Miami Vice a little bit in her character, which is
yeah,
kind of fun.
yeah.
And she's got the
That's a good point. Yeah,
shotgun. She kills a bunch of dudes
yeah.
like, right at the beginning. Or she's in the
She
bar
plays
fight. I
the
can't remember if she
very,
killed anybody, but she shot the
yeah,
wall with the shotgun
yeah,
for them to escape. That
yeah,
was pretty cool.
yeah,
So she had that very
yeah.
like sort of
She plays
tough
the,
tough chick, right,
yeah,
vibe
yeah,
going on.
yeah, yeah. She could go undercover too as the groupie
Right.
for Father, what was his
Yeah, the
Wayne Newton,
Wayne Newton
Father
doing
Joe,
the
Brother Joe,
right,
yeah,
doing the
yeah, Brother
he was the
Joe,
TV
yeah,
preacher, right? Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And also
yeah,
that she did the impersonation of the harbor pilot to get the boat,
oh
right?
yeah, yeah, and
And like,
yeah, she has like an accent or so,
so she was like the perfect accomplice,
yeah,
right? She played his secretary,
yeah, heck yeah,
his
yeah,
executive secretary going down to
yeah,
the
yeah,
south of the border, right? And all of that. Like
yeah,
in so many ways, I felt like, man, she's like the perfect accomplice for him,
yeah,
right? With her
yeah,
background and also,
yeah,
ridiculously beautiful, like so many of the others.
oh
But
man, yeah,
the other thing
yeah,
I noticed as I
yeah,
was thinking about this was, it's interesting, right? Both of the women I picked, uh, short hair, right? And
short hair, yeah,
not very common for Bond girls, but to me,
yeah,
I think maybe one of the reasons why I find them so attractive is the short hair, and it's because like that is how
yeah,
beautiful
yeah,
these women are. Even with like just
yeah,
short hair, they
yes,
are
yes,
so
yes,
feminine
yes.
and so
Oh man,
just
yes, yes.
sensual. It's like you just can't get enough of them. It doesn't matter
The
how
one
short their hair is,
I know, yeah.
Like
Yeah, I usually don't fancy short-haired women, but like those two, Halle Berry and Carrie Lowell, and also what's her name from Live and Let Die, with she had a wig but she took it off. Rosie
Rosie
Carver, her
Carter,
name.
right?
Oh yeah, yeah, Rosie Carver, Gloria Hendry, like those two are like probably the ones I've looked at the most. Those three, they all have short hair.
Yeah, yeah. She was actually, I
Yeah,
have to say too. It's funny you mentioned her. She was definitely
yeah,
top pick for me as well.
yeah, yeah,
She
yeah.
was a really
Oh,
beautiful woman,
even also Jane Seymour in there. That Live and
right?
Let Die. That's that's some beauties in there.
Yep. That was definitely
Yeah,
two of the most beautiful women in the series as well
yeah.
in that film.
Okay. Yeah, heck yeah.
So yeah, what are your picks?
Yes, Caroline Munro that plays Naomi in The Spy Who Loved Me. She's
Yes,
Stromberg's like femme fatale
right.
assistant.
She
Like
was beautiful.
what a wonderful craft, such lovely lines. Oh man, that woman though, she's so freaking gorgeous. I think she's an English actress slash model, but I see her in other stuff like Sinbad movies, and she's in that. I don't know if you've ever seen Star Crash, the Luigi Cosi like uh, sci-fi movie,
I don't think I have,
Star
but if
Crash.
she's in it, I want to see it. So
She's the star. Yeah, she's the star. She's the star. Yeah, she's the star of it. That's like it was supposed to be a star, Jason and the Argonauts in space, but and David Hasselhoff is in it. Christopher Plummer's in it. Get
oh,
this, John
wow.
Barry does the score.
Oh my
John
god.
Barry does the score.
That's
Yeah, it's
fantastic.
really low budget. Like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Star Crash. Her eyes are so alluring.
Right. Yeah, the way that she did her makeup
Another.
was really
Yeah,
memorable.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, other parts of her too, but I'll say, or I guess her name was just Naomi. That's the only name she was given. And then for my favorite character, kind of similar to Jinx, and Jinx is up there for me too. So is Wei Lin from all similar
Yes.
type characters.
Right.
But I don't know, Doctor Goodhead for me. Something about her. I don't know, like she's such a wonderful, beautiful, like feminine looking woman, but she's like an astronaut and
Right. She's
and
super
she's a CIA
strong.
agent.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. She does her little judo throw.
Right. Right.
To,
And she was very different, right?
yeah,
She was one of the
yeah.
probably earliest. Well, not
Oh,
the
and
earliest, but
Major Masapa.
yeah, like Major
Yeah,
Amasova, right?
the
Like
Russian girl. Yeah, yeah. She was another one I forgot to mention. Yeah,
um,
yeah.
uh,
Go ahead though. Sorry.
well, I was just gonna say like you mentioned Mei Ling, right? From You Only Live
Yeah, yeah,
Twice as well. Obviously, she was
yeah,
also like
yeah,
an agent and very capable
yeah,
and all of that. So
yeah,
one of the things that's kind of interesting about the Bond movies is they're often accused of being chauvinistic, and
yeah. I don't see that at all. Yeah,
I don't really either. I mean, I can see how people might think that, but
yeah.
the other thing is the films from very early on showed women doing a lot of things that
Yeah,
most
yeah, and I
so
think I think the creators prided themselves on that.
right. Very progressive,
Yeah,
right, as far
yeah,
as
yeah,
what women were doing, what they could do in the films. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah.
from the very what I mean, Doctor No, Pamela or
Yes,
not Pamela, what's her name?
uh, Ursula
Ursula
Andress.
Andress.
Yeah, yeah,
And I get them confused. That's how iconic she is, right? She makes me
yeah,
think Baywatch from
yeah, yeah,
the
yeah,
bikini.
yeah, 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 yeah.
But
I
she's
see the
helping
connection.
Bond
Yeah,
from the first film, right? They've got a
yeah,
woman in the field with
yeah,
him, and
yeah.
they just get
And
stronger
she's
from
like,
there, right?
yeah. Yeah, and what I liked about her was she wasn't like some trained agent. She was just like caught she was
Right.
just like caught up in this thing and she had nothing to do with it. She wasn't an agent. She's someone that goes and looks for shells and sells them. And so
Yep.
she had nothing to do with this whole plot, but she got caught up with it and she became an important part of the end of the movie.
It was so good.
If you read the book, like she's really interesting if you read the book, like
Say,
yeah,
I did think about
yeah.
her doing this list. Yeah, I remembered, and
Yeah.
Barbara Bach too. Honestly, I mean, Barbara Bach could have,
Yes. Oh, yes.
also,
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
wow, you know,
Oh man. Wow. Yeah.
and Barbara Bach is still gorgeous to this day. It's amazing.
Yeah. Oh,
Uh,
heck yeah. Yeah. It's
Um,
crazy how some of these women, like Jane Seymour as well.
right.
I know like Gloria Hendry does like musicals, like she sings Bond songs. The girl that plays Rosie Carver,
Oh, okay.
she looks super fit. She looks super fit and nice looking for like in her 70s.
That's awesome. I'll have to check